here's a special project that I've been promising you guys for a while. And honestly, I've just been really busy. The rear end blew up on my bird. By the way, this thing is back together, doesn't make any noise. I'm kind of bummed the 273 gears wouldn't fit, because that would have been really awesome for top speed. You didn't hear that, by the way. But 355s are good for drag racing, so just stick with them. Here's what's up. These are stock drums on my 67 Tempest. And I'm going to show you down and dirty one of my two favorite options for brakes. My favorite being Corvette brakes. My second favorite being 98 Camaro brakes. For the rear, all-time favorite, Camaro brakes. This will eventually, soon hopefully, we'll have 4-wheel disc brakes and a 12 bolt. Right now, these may be, a little rusty, but don't look at that. I'll clean up the surface. Throwing them on today. These are stock 98 through 2002 Camaro brakes. These are stock calipers. And they bolt on to modified hubs, which is why the Corvette brakes are #1 in my, because these are stock drum hubs that have been turned down a little and painted, I guess. But see, the rotor fits snug so that the rotor floats on the hub assembly. And as you can see right here, the important piece, I'm going to point it out with the screwdriver, is it sits flush right there, because the studs aren't what holds your rotor in place. No, don't get that wrong. It's this hub and the wheel crushing the force that hold the rotor in place. And if it's balanced, it'll spin. These are some cheapo, drilled rotors that I bought. But like I said, this right here is a modified stock hub. All it was is turned down, and the stock 98 rotors throw right on. I bought a $20 box of 2 1/8 long studs. Dorman, made in America, by the way. And they threw them on because the drum studs aren't long enough to use disc brakes on. So in this video, what you're going to see is how to put disc brakes on your A body, F body, X body, the Novas. Oh, 68 and up Novas anyway. For really, really cheap, because those calipers are $50. They came off a wrecked 98 SS Camaro. Rotors are very cheap, and the best part about it is the stock replacement. Pads, I can go to AutoZone and get pads for 98 Camaro rotors, or I can buy drilled rotors, whatever. And the coolest thing about this is when I put disc brakes on my 12 bolt, like I've been saying before, they bolt right on. This will have 4-wheel disc brakes, a 12 bolt posi, all new sheet metal, new interior upholstery, a 400, a 2-speed automatic, or one of my 3-speed manual Ford transmissions. I don't know yet. But the entire budget for this car is only $8,000, and I don't even have the entire $8,000 yet. So definitely stay tuned, because you can build one hell of a hot rod for a lot less than a lot of people expect. That doesn't include paint. I can't afford to paint the sucker for $8,000. Don't think of that. What I can afford is a 12-bolt posi, a running 400, and 4-wheel disc brakes. Brand new interior and all new panels. That includes quarters, door skins, and fenders. And I'm going to save as much of the other sheet metal as I can. And don't tell me I can't do it. I've removed the wheel, and I took the bearing cap. By the way, don't ever drive around without bearing caps. They keep the grease in the bearings, and it's what keeps your bearings alive. Anyways, I've never seen a GM hub assembly that wasn't somehow permanently attached to the drum. So in order to take your drums off, to service them, or like my case, to replace them with disc brakes, you actually have to take the entire spindle nut off and pull the bearings off. And that's what I'm doing right now. It's as easy as taking off this disposable cotter pin. Unscrewing this nut, which can't ever be more than hand tight, or you'll burn your bearings up. Also, you'll notice all these little parts are laid on a piece of cardboard. Keeps grit off of everything. And that's grit is what destroys bearings. And you pull the whole hub assembly off. There's going to be a bearing, a spacer. Keep that spacer, you'll need to reuse it. I swear there was a bearing here. Yeah, I don't know where the inside bearing is. I don't think the sucker had inside bearings. Wow. See, surprises. Anyways, these two bolts right here and this big one are what you're going to take off. And you just pull the entire assembly off. And there you go. I don't normally advocate things made in China, but these $10 grinders from Harbor Freight are freaking awesome. They don't really have a whole lot of power, so don't think that's why I like them. But they're just cheap. I've cut cars in half with them if I had to. There you go. As you can see, there's a little bit left of the stud. Now, I would have either had to cut this spindle for a bigger bolt, or as I just did, cut that off. Now I'm just gonna have to flush it. You can see there's a little bit of a ridge left. I won't be able to reuse this bolt. I'm gonna have to go to a hardware store and get this bolt. But that's okay. Yeah. See? Alright. This kit is from BRP Hot Rods. It comes with machine hubs and the brackets I told you about. And it comes pre-assembled bearings. Obviously those are long gone. But it comes with this little spacer. Other kits normally have you machine down or space this piece right here. I think it's parallel, if I'm correct. It should be parallel anyway. I'll look it up later. But this sucker right here goes in there. This is the back side of the hub. And when you're putting in the bearing races, it spaces the hub out maybe a 1/16 of an inch or 1/32 of an inch, making sure that the rotor is perfectly centered on the caliper. And so that's it. There's no other tricks to it. This hub, like I said, is stock, other than being modified to fit the rotor. And so you put the bearing races in, tap them in with a brass drift, grease them up. Today I'm not going to grease them for the sake of time, because these are just placeholders. And I don't have a seal on the back yet either, but just throw the sucker on, tighten everything down, throw a rotor on, put the calipers on, and that's it. Then the rest is a matter of plumbing, of course, which is going to be tackled at a different day. I'll explain that to you guys in a bit. But yeah, just giving you guys a heads up. So just to clarify the installation instructions. If you don't want to remove any material from this upper boss right here, you have to use a small grade 8 washer. I think it's 3/8 or if it's over a 1/2 inch bolt, I know that. Or not 3/8, 9/16 or whatever. So on the bottom hole, because they're not quite in sync, in order to make this line up and so that you don't get uneven pad wear, you use a washer on the bottom, no washer on top, and it'll be nice and even. I loosened this up to show you. The hub installation is a regular, just like you would install the regular drum. So it goes on. The bolt goes through. And you tighten it down. And later on, I'm going to put a bolt in this weekend and show you how it works. Right now, this is all placeholder, just so you guys get an idea of how to install everything. Stock rotors. And the hubs themselves take stock bearings. There's the studs have been, I got longer studs for it, and it's been turned down to fit the inside diameter of this rotor, but the actual hub diameter of the rotor is the same after 45 years. Put the caliper on, take the 2 bolts. And they go through the back of the bracket and into the caliper bracket. Bolts aren't tightened down all the way, but you can get a good look. Again, this portion of the hub fits. It's the inside of the rotor that has to be turned down to fit in there, right there. You can see that bracket lined up. Normally it'd be a 1/2 inch bolt right there, which I'm going to put before I actually drive the car. And these are the 2 bolts I just put in right here. They go through the caliper bracket and right there. And this piece of zinc plated hardware, you can see the washer right there. It's what keeps everything parallel. Obviously I'm going to sand these rotors down a little, but see the hose goes up right there. And with that little brass connector, it would hook up to my factory lines. And so it's just a matter of plumbing the, not the booster, but the master cylinder that's compatible with disc brakes instead of one that has a built-in pressure reservoir for drum brakes. Because disc brakes and drum brakes take different master cylinders. So, yeah, here, let's throw the wheel on so you can see what it looks like. Alright, I tightened down the lug nuts. And there you go. This is behind a 17-inch wheel. It's got plenty of clearance. I wouldn't risk going with a 16-inch. But to give you a breakdown of what went on here is those brackets that I got and the modified hubs are from BRP Hot Rodding. These calipers are stock GM calipers from Australia, and those are stock GM rotors. It all fits together very nice, and it's going to complement the rear disc brakes. Just to give you a heads up, had I had the opportunity to buy this all over, I wouldn't have. I would have gone with the Corvette disc brake option. Same caliper, but a C5 13-inch Corvette rotor, which means I can use unmodified factory drum hubs. So I'm going to figure out a way to separate this from this drum, and I'd be able to use that with some longer studs. Save me a lot of money. But BRP Hot Rods is where I got the parts. It's also where I got the brackets for the rear disc brakes for the 12 bolts and 10 bolts. It's just a little spacer. It's about yay big maybe. And factory 98 Camaro disc brakes with built-in parking brake bolt right onto a 12 bolt. So it's a good swap. Also, it's a good safety features because the caliper will keep the axle from coming out if it ever snaps. Might not keep it there for long, but it'll keep it there. Whereas the only thing retaining the axle with the drum is a C-clip on the very inside. So there you have it. This is a down and dirty swap. You can get parts from Core 3. They have great customer service. Or BRP Hot Rods. Again, they have pretty good customer service. They messed up one of my orders one time and they paid. They returned me my shipping, got me the right part, got me some t-shirts. The owner of that place is a decent guy to deal with from what I've experienced. And these parts work pretty good. So stay tuned, as always, on the Invincible Brotherhood, where we keep it real like none other.